So this current version of the 2TC I've been using for 2 seasons now is the main part of it is 40 foot of Sterling HTP 10 millimeter, one continuous piece, and I have eliminated all the carabiners in my system, so I wear this whole thing out to the woods. This is what I have in place of the carabiners attaching to my, what you would call the bridge, and a couple friction hitches. The one tether, this upper comes up around the tree. So this is one end of the rope, and then the other end of the rope is this, what I call a bypass link. It acts as a quick link to open and close this girth hitch. So I have, get over here. So on the one end of the rope, my upper tether, I just have a piece of 1/2-inch fuel line. This is a Ashley stopper knot, and this is just a figure 8. The way this works is I can push this open here, and I put the stopper knot right in there in the figure 8, and it closes. And then when I put it around the tree, I'll put this one, this is my upper, and I'll go from left to right around the back of the tree, and I'll lay this in here with, and we'll get to this, but I'll start with this up inside. So I'll adjust this so it's up inside, and this girth hitch is on the tree, and then the stopper knot will go in there. And when you weight this, it's like a soft shackle. When you weight this, even if you don't, it stays put. I have this, just a little tag of paracord to get a hold of the knot to pull it open like that. So I just attach that right here on this figure 8. It'll migrate on you. It'll move around. You want to have it back here, and I have other videos that show this. So that's the girth hitch. This is the bypass link. This is just a piece of a paracord, and the other end is just a repeat of this end with a couple differences. One difference being this this little loop here is set up to do a ground release, and I have separate videos on that on my channel. So there's a ground release that I can take a piece of paracord. What I do is I move this. I'll move this knot like this. I'll open this up, this loop here, and rather than sticking a whole stopper knot into this, I'll put this loop in here, and I'll put this tag in through like that. Like that. And I have a way of putting a paracord on here with, it has 2 loops. When I get to the bottom, I'll pull this out, pull that out, and this whole thing explodes and the paracord falls off. So it's even better than a lot of times guys will hook on with a Dynaglide or whatever, and you still got to pull that whole Dynaglide up over a limb. This explodes and both ends just fall to the ground. So working back, or this is a spacer for the lower tether. Show this here. So this is a spacer so that the lower tether can be moved up here. It's not necessary on the lower. It's just so that you got a space where you can move this tether up underneath without it getting pinched between actually it's the stirrup line. This line will sit close to the tree with your weight in the stirrup. But coming back from this bypass link, I have some heat shrink, and I have one piece of this is just the 2-to-1 1/2-inch ID heat shrink, 2 foot long, and I shrunk that on here. It can still slide. It doesn't have the adhesive. And then I have a piece that I didn't shrink that I can slide. So on a smaller tree, down to about 8-inch diameter, I'll have this loop about so big. And if I have about a 18-inch diameter tree, I'll pull this out. And this allows the loop to be stiff and hold its shape, so it's easy to move up the tree. It's one of the biggest pains about this is when the rope starts getting snagged by the bark. So this allows it to keep its shape. It springs open, you slide it right up. So that's that. And again, this other end is just a repeat of the top, with the only difference being is this spacer here, and the stirrup line is shorter on the bottom tether. And what I like to, I set the length on that. I'll set that so that the when I have my foot in the stirrup at ground level, I'll have the foot in the stirrup down here at ground level there. I want to have this right around waist high, or maybe even a little bit lower. So I'll set the length on this. Is hitch cord. This is Sterling TRC 6mm. Seems to work really well. And I'll tie this, what I call a this part here is not really part of the knot. This is just some excess, but I call this a trigger hitch. It's just a modified Blake's hitch, and I have a video on that. And the only difference is, rather than going around and under 2, I go under 1, over 1, under the next. And what I'm able to do is, this gets really tight, I can grab it here with my finger and pull it, and this will move freely again. I just put this up so any little tag ends you got dropping off of, especially coming off of the upper tether, it gets between the lower tether and the tree at times, and then you go to move the upper tether and it's trapped. So, and the same thing goes for like this end. When you're climbing, you know, if it starts getting in the way, I'll pull it over here like that till it's time to open this link up, and then I'll pull it out and pull that open. And then the way I use this when it's time to, when I started making the two tether, it was two separate pieces of rope. And rather than do that, what I do now is so what I'll do now, this is my upper tether, and say I hunted and I want to rappel down. I won't change anything. I'll have this extra length of rope is continuous. There's the end of the loop. I'll have this just coiled up and either I'll hang it from a carabiner off of this harness like that, kind of at my waist, or I have a way I put it up over my shoulder. But when it's time to rappel, I'll take this free and I'll drop the rope. And then without changing anything here, I'll just loosen up I'll make sure these hitches are down outside on both of these like this. And I'll grab this upper and I'll pull, make sure I got it here. I'll pull this down to this, so I have my foot in the stirrup on the upper and my weight is on this tether, and I'll have a pull down rope hooked into this loop here. Let's see if you can see it here. I'll have a pull down rope hooked here, and I'll bring this down. I have a foot in the right stirrup, and then I'll just pull down and rappel on these two hitches right here, and then I'll allow this lower tether to kind of move down the tree with me. And the idea being, if this should happen to let go, at least this one will kind of interrupt my fall partway. It's never given me any trouble, but and then with the capability, I could do this with a shorter rope, and what would happen is, if I couldn't get to the ground with the rope, I can rappel down off of this, and eventually this rappel section will run from this hitch straight through the other one, and I can pull this down, drop it to the ground, and immediately, without changing anything, I just rappel from the lower and keep going like that. So I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, I'll be glad to do a video on that. And but tomorrow's opening day, so anyway, if you're hunting, well, anywhere, good luck. Thanks for stopping by.